time for you to wake up. So we will start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneau. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman, okay? Here is a photo, by the way, just over the years, Jean-Michel Trogneau, as he became Brigitte. As I said, the evidence for this is overwhelming. That second photo, I believe they found a photo of him at a pride parade when he was just living as a homosexual man. That next photo is when the transition began, if I recall correctly, and that's a photo from the professor years. And the professor years of Brigitte Macron is when he statutorily Emmanuel Macron. Those are not the prerequisites, by the way. Like, to becoming a leader of a world country, you got to like be in drama class like Zelensky. You got to be a homosexual, like a lot of them tend to be. And are the new prerequisites that you need to have something in your closet like this and the entire state is going to work feverishly to protect the secret?
I just couldn't miss this, guys. I just couldn't miss it. What just happened? Macron just got slapped by his wife. Obviously, most people know that apparently it's not really his wife. I think you know the story, or maybe I can place a video of Candace here so that you know the whole story, so that it's not like I'm the one saying it. Apparently that's actually his father, obviously, who, oh my god, it's a long story. I can't even go into details about it, because apparently, obviously, it's not even a woman, it's a man. But not only is it a man, apparently it's his own father. So let me just put Candace Owens clip there so that you go and listen to it.
I can't even think of a cultural example of a woman who was in her mid-30s, about to turn 40, that found a 14-year-old boy attractive. You guys can help me find one, okay? So once the couple moved into Élysée Palace, that's the French White House, weird scandals began to follow them. For example, for whatever reason, it became known to the public that Brigitte Macron, who fancies herself something of a designer, wanted to install an erect penis with golden balls to become the new spire for the Notre Dame Cathedral. Yes, you heard me correct. Here is a headline in the Daily Mail to back that up. It is not enough for any person investigating this case to ask questions like, is this Brigitte Trogneau in the wedding photo? You will notice we didn't ask that question when my legal team got involved. We didn't say, is this Brigitte Trogneau in the wedding photo? We had to instead ask something more specific. Is this the current First Lady of France, Brigitte Macron, pictured here in this wedding photo? Okay? And that's when the couple gets real quiet. They don't want to answer those questions. Do you guys get what I'm getting at here? Okay? Because we can confirm that that is indeed a photo of a woman named Brigitte Trogneau in that wedding photo. Where that Brigitte is, we cannot confirm because the First Lady refuses to answer. She has a mother-in-law who helps transgendered people get new identities. So you have to essentially understand that you can just take somebody's name. You can become somebody else at a moment's notice. Now, legally, when you become transgendered, okay? This brings us to Jean-Michel Trogneau. Okay, we obviously have to discuss him. This is Brigitte Trogneau's brother. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Jean-Michel Trogneau. It's real important that we learn about him, a guy who was so close to his sister, two different people, his sister, Brigitte Trogneau, that she made him the best man at her wedding. But then he just was completely missing from mention. The First Lady, Brigitte Macron, came into power. Seemed to be purposeful to allow this person to fall through the cracks, despite all of the stuff being written about her family and where she came from. There was no mention of Jean-Michel Trogneau. That was the dog that was not barking.
Now, that was just a short clip, but now I'm actually going to put Candace Owens clip about the incident. She is so hilarious. Like the way she put things together. And it's strange how they start lying, and I think probably there's no way of lying yourself out of this, because that's like really, really, like, you know, photographed by every single person, so you couldn't lie yourself out of this.
I'm very quickly going to show you guys the video that has by now made its way around the world. I'm talking a global PR catastrophe for this couple. So let's very quickly watch it. If you are listening to this on Spotify or Apple, don't worry about it because we're going to do a video breakdown. But here is the clip that made its way around the world. You obviously see the plane door gets opened and then suddenly his face is being smushed. Okay, let's slow this down because there are some things that I think are being missed by the public. First and foremost, I just want to shout out the real victim in all of this, okay? Let's just watch the beginning of this clip. The pilot that comes out and opens the door, he is the unsung victim in this because he is going to be so fired. I mean, just the wrong timing there. I just imagine that when he gets back and this trip is over, for no reason at all, Brigitte is going to lose it because Brigitte is a maniac behind the scenes. These are the facts. I am telling you, Brigitte is losing his mind. I know this to be an absolute fact. I'll tell you more about that later. But then what we see here, and this is what people need to get right because what was being reported as a slap or a smack is actually incorrect. This was a double-handed shove to Macron's face. So we're going to slow that down so you can see it. Take a look at this. That is two arms. You see that frozen? Two arms in the shot. You can see Brigitte's left arm and right arm right on his face. And when you get closer to it, you can even see that Brigitte is wearing some sort of a watch or a piece of jewelry. And I just went, okay, that's just like dudes beginning to fight because a couple of things there. Listen, I went to public school, saw a lot of these fights. When a woman is hitting a man, it's usually one hand, a smack, because a woman's not really fearful in most circumstances that the guy's going to hit her back. It's just like a little whack across the face. And, you know, maybe it's a mom to her son, smack, and then it's kind of over because she's just being over emotional and hitting him. When men fight, there tends to be an aggressive shove that happens first, right? Shove to the face like that just to be super disrespectful. And that's exactly what happened here, okay? I am telling you, Brigitte was in some form, was very clearly irate, and gave him the full shove. Now, what we're going to slow down now, right now, is Macron's reaction to this, because I think it should be studied in colleges and universities across the world because it's giving fight or flight, the fight or flight response that we have as humans, a new meaning. I mean, this could be called fight on flight response. And it's incredible to actually think about the physiological changes that must be going through Emmanuel Macron's body and mind during this moment, okay? At first, he gets double shoved. You're going to have that human response. Like, am I going to fight this person? Am I going to fight this grown man? He perceives this physical threat. And before he can even process that, he then perceives the bigger threat, which is the media, the cameras that are flashing outside. Could you imagine his heart rate in this moment? Look at him. Look at his face. Genuinely, he looks like he pooped his pants. That's the only way I can describe his face if you're listening to the podcast. He looks like a toddler did an uh-oh in a very public space, maybe at Six Flags, Disney World, and realizes things have gone terribly wrong, okay? Their reaction to this was essentially a lie that was so bad that not even the mainstream media fully bit on it, right? They kind of, some of them tried to, other ones are just outright mocking them. I'll show you both of those reactions. But what happened at first, I kid you not, when a journalist contacted the Élysée Palace, and I'm assuming at this point they had not seen the footage, the Élysée Palace responded, and they said, of all things, that it was Russia's fault. They just went ahead and blamed Russia right off the top. That seems to be a thing that everybody does. Russia, Russia, Russia. Russia's bad all the time. Putin, Putin. Stay focused on Putin. I kid you not, the official statement from the Élysée Palace was, quote, "These are images generated by artificial intelligence being boosted by Russians." It's amazing. That is amazing. I have to imagine somewhere in the world, Putin is laughing. He just is like, what are we doing now? And the journalist who's on the phone with the Élysée Palace immediately calls them out on their BS. He says, "You are lying because these images were just captured from the Associated Press." And at that moment, they realized they had made a massive blunder, okay? They're, oh my gosh, so this is the Élysée Palace is their White House. They've realized we've made a big mistake. They completely backtrack and immediately get to work changing their story. And then came a statement from Macron's office. Macron's office said this, quote, It was a moment where the president and his wife were decompressing one last time before the start of the trip by horsing around. It's a moment of complicity. It was all that was needed to give ammunition to the conspiracy theorists. There is just so much happening in that statement. Genuinely, I feel limited here. I don't have the vocabulary that is extensive enough to underscore how disastrously stupid this response is. I'm left wondering whether or not they hired Blake and Ryan's PR team, if they went out and said, wow, that was so bad. Are you guys available to do some of our PR? First off, where do we begin with that statement? Let's begin by defining what a moment of complicity is. What is that? Something very demented has gone on in that relationship. Emmanuel Macron has never been the leader of France. Brigitte has groomed him from the time that he was a child. They are still lying about everything. They're lying right now in court, by the way.
Footage emerged of Brigitte pushing her husband in the face. Now, Macron's office initially tried to claim it was fake footage, fake, and it was a line that the French media obediently repeated. But that spin wasn't sustainable when it emerged that several press cameras from international media outlets captured the shove. Now, Macron has since denied that he was having a domestic dispute, and he sought to downplay the whole incident. He said they were just playing.
We were squabbling and I was joking with my wife, and I'm surprised by it. And it becomes some sort of geoplanetary catastrophe. Everybody needs to calm down and should really focus on actual news.
Yeah, isn't it annoying when journalists focus on the wrong news? But if you look at the initial footage, you can see by the stunned look in his face that they weren't playing and he wasn't expecting the physical contact. So his office then changed their line. It wasn't fake news anymore. It was then Russian disinformation. It was a conspiracy theory. And that's, of course, ridiculous because clearly she deliberately pushed his face.
Okay, guys, so I shared a few videos from Candace Owens, who obviously have done extensive research about Macron and his wife, or so to say, he's the husband. It's crazy because the whole thing is about Macron's wife actually being a 37-year-old man, while Macron was actually 14, who now changed into becoming a woman that we now know as his wife. So it's crazy. Like, the whole thing is crazy. Anyway, guys, bye.